Hi, if you just want to watch the Donkey Kong video you were expecting, you can click to this part in the video and that's where it is. But I just wanted to take a moment and create a buffer between my last very serious video about my friend Billy passing away and this more goofy, light-hearted video about Donkey Kong that I recorded a week ago before I knew what the next week of my life was going to look like. And I do think it's important that we just get back on track and that we enjoy this video today and we have some laughs, because I'm pretty sure by now you can tell that's what Billy would have wanted. And I'm excited to dive back into work and just keep moving forward. But I figured while I was creating this buffer, I may as well use it as an opportunity to thank everybody for the response on that video and the outpour of love that you sent towards Billy and Billy's family. Thank you. Thank you for watching it. And if you didn't know Billy, thank you for learning about Billy. That's it. I'm gonna play the video now, which again is gonna be a very sharp handbrake turn into regular content. But I think it's for the best, and I think it's time that we all had a laugh. So thank you again, and yeah, here's the video.
You know, these days, a lot of things are bananas. So this is bananas, that's bananas, this is bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. But do you know what's really bananing my non? Nintendo just released a $20 DLC add-on just a sheer couple of months after releasing Donkey Kong Bananza. And it's awesome. Look, I know, Nintendo and money and prices and it's a whole thing right now, I know, trust me. But when I say that this DLC is actually a ton of fun and I think worth the $20, this is coming from a guy that just poured his heart out over Silksong. That's an entire video game for $20, and it took one whole Australian year to develop. Mate, I've lost my accent. I really mean it. My accent has gone so American that even when this YouTube channel stole my voice, ran it through AI to use for their videos to sell some weird Nintendo Switch cartridge, that the AI voice sounds more American than I do. We made the first ever game card that includes all 100,000 Nintendo Switch games. All right, I gotta stop monkeying around here, because before I get to this DLC, I do have to quickly touch on the entire Donkey Kong Bananza game, because I never reviewed it. And I think it's important to talk about it because the game itself is 70 bones, which is a more expensive Nintendo game than we're accustomed to these days. I mean, unless you count why? But unlike Mario Fart, which I actually really liked, so I don't know why I called it Mario Fart. It was just very expensive. I think a lot of us, for the most part, agreed that Donkey Kong Bananza had $70 worth of content. I mean, this game was an absolute blast. There was a ton of content with literally hundreds of bananas. I found 683, and I would have found 684, but I think I would have ended it all if I had to see, ooh, banana, one more time. Actually, do you remember that Donkey Kong rap? This is actually really important for the video. You know how it goes? DK, Donkey Kong, DK, get your Surfshark on. I always wondered what that meant, but clearly with the island theme and the sharks that must be out there, you can surf them in this game. In fact, I think I see Donkey Kong surfing a shark out there right now. Wait, no, what's that? Oh, wait, no, that's the Surfshark VPN logo. It must be sponsoring the video. Surfshark VPN has you covered from chimpanzee to chimpanzee, and when you're done using their service, you'll say thank you. It's not just DK Island I've been traveling to recently. I also went back to Texas last week, and I'm going to Texas tomorrow. In fact, when you watch this, I'm in Texas. And when I travel, having Surfshark VPN on my laptop is perfect because airport and cafe Wi-Fi's aren't protected. These are actually some of the worst places where you're the most unprotected and people just will steal your information. But not mine, because I got Surfshark VPN turned on. I have been using Surfshark VPN for a couple of years now. I started using it because I was hacked. That's not a lie. My Discord got hacked and they got access to my entire computer. They installed viruses and keyloggers, and the only way that I could get rid of them was by frantically using Surfshark VPN's antivirus, which completely fixed my computer. It's been a couple of years and I think I'm safe. And that's just a side thing. I mean, the main thing is that they're a VPN. Everything you do online is public. Everything you Google, Google knows that you're Googling it, even in a private tab. You didn't know that? Well, neither did he. Which is why using a VPN is just the safest way to browse online. You can switch your location to over 3,000 different servers, and while you're there, why not load up a video streaming service of your choosing and see what Bangladesh has on offer? Because why not? You're paying like $30 a month now for your streaming services. You may as well get the full library, and a lot of places lock out the library by region because you can use Surfshark for all kinds of reasons, baby, like having fun. They also have a 24/7 customer support. You can use one account on unlimited devices. Surfshark also has a 30-day money-back guarantee, and if you want to get 4 extra months of it, go to surfshark.com/BeatEmUps. I'll leave a link down below as well. Ooh, back to the video. But no, I could not put this game down. I didn't want to finish it. I just kept grinding and trying to unlock everything on the skill tree and find every fossil I possibly can and load into areas just to see if I could destroy everything. I didn't because it got boring after a minute, but I could. Donkey Kong Bonanza is just a giant sandbox for you to play around in. It's by far my favorite Donkey Kong game. Tropical Freeze is hard to beat. I mean, it is the best 2D platformer I think I've ever played. Brutally difficult, but apparently I like those now. I'm hesitant to say this is my favorite 3D platformer of all time. I'm even hesitant to say it's a 3D platformer. It's more of a 3D smash-former. There is some platforming, especially in the endgame stuff. But a 3D platformer? I think the crown still goes to Mario Odyssey, just because it really lives up to the genre. I told you all of this because I think it was important to clarify that this game is worth $70. So we can put a pin in that, we can push it aside, we can get it out of here, we can look at the DLC and just focus on that being 20. Here's what you get in the Donkey Kong Bonanza Emerald Rush Donkey Kong Country DLC. You get to visit Donkey Kong's home and all of his friends like Dixie, Cranky Kong, and Diddy. Ugh. That's a shame. That didn't really age well. There's even minecarts. You can run wild and explore this island to your heart's content. There's even a pair of Donkey Kong bongos. There's no extra hidden collectibles, fossils, or bananas for you to find around DK's home. But in lieu of that, there's a whole new mode called Emerald Rush. When you go and talk to Void Kong and you activate the new mode, all of the gold around the island turns to emerald. This then triggers a brand new roguelike mode in Donkey Kong Bonanza. And lately, the idea of a roguelike is getting tossed into existing video game experiences, both single player, online multiplayer, and more. Some examples off the top of my head, even from Nintendo, would be Splatoon. Splatoon 3 added DLC that took the core format of the gameplay, put it in a tower where you go up floors roguelike style, having to start again if you fail. Even the recent God of War Ragnarok added a really solid roguelike mode as DLC called Valhalla after the game released. Here is how the team at Donkey Kong Bonanza made the game work in a roguelike setting. Every run is played in waves, and depending on the difficulty, that can be 5 waves, 10 or 15 or more. And you have a goal every wave to collect a certain amount of these emerald gems. And you're timed, so immediately you start scrambling, trying to find all the emeralds that you can, and you find it in the same way you would in the actual game, by breaking the giant emerald crystals that are shot out of the ground, by digging in the earth to find chests or other hidden loot. But just like a roguelike, there are so many things you can do to improve your run and increase your chances and multipliers of finding emeralds, like collecting fossils and bananas. Yes, they come back in this mode. Fossils are obviously scattered all around the island, and if you find one while you're on a run, it'll allow you to select a perk out of 3 perks, or you can re-roll the perks, or you can forego the perk to get extra life. These perks range from so many different things, like getting better chances of finding the chests when you're digging in the ground, more loot spraying out of geysers? Geysers? I'm not realizing I don't think I've ever said that word before. Or things like an emerald gem multiplier when you defeat enemies with the Kong Bonanza. You can increase the amount of chips you can find, and chips are important in this mode because when you start a new run, it completely wipes your 683 bananas of skills tree progress with a blank slate. And then as you find chips around the world, you can level your skills back up again depending on what you need for that run. Or you can do the void missions that you're thrown by Void Kong throughout the game. These range from things like run to the other side of the island and defeat these enemies, or run and find Diddy and give him a high five for all the awesome things that he's done. This Diddy. to clarify. This one. Different Diddy, I know. The void missions will give you a lump sum of gems and chips, and there are also modifiers to increase how many gems and chips you get from these missions. And that's usually my strategy, is doing as many of those void missions as possible while leveling up with the perks, the rewards that I'll get from those void missions. It's really the only way I can hit the goals in some of those higher, more difficult levels, especially because once you get into the level 4 and 5 and above difficulty, they take away all of your Kong Bonanzas and you can find them again in bananas around the world. But when you start a run, there's only a couple of these Kong Bonanzas scattered around and it's random. Obviously, the golded one is the elephant. The elephant makes any run a lot easier, especially if you stack a ton of elephant perks on top of it. But as you progress through the waves, you'll eventually hit little banana icons, which will add more banana items to the map. And that's when it adds more Kong transformations until they're all available. There's also certain full skills tied to bananas lying around, and every banana that you eat, whether it has a skill attached to it or not, will also allow you to equip a perk, and sometimes multiple perks, or 2 levels or 3 levels of perks. That goes for some of the really rare fossils in the game too. Those will give you even more perks at once. And that's where I'm saying there's actually a lot of depth here in the strategy. It's a lot of needing to duck and weave and go with the flow of a run depending on what Kong Bonanzas are available up front, what abilities you might be able to get, what perks show up, or even what map you're on. This game mode is also available on a bunch of the other maps. As you play a run, when you eventually either lose or finish it, you'll get a bunch of rewards that will unlock things like new outfits, new perks for future runs, and even other levels that you can play this mode on. And those other levels are way harder than playing on the DK Island. You try playing this mode on something like the Feast layer, where there's so many carts to get around to exclusive locked out little areas, and then a bunch of fat fryers everywhere for you to fall into, and just a ton of obstructions around. It's way harder playing this mode on some of the other levels. Also, those outfits that you can unlock, they not only look sick, they're all void themed. I don't want to give you spoilers, but they'll also give you perks if you wear them for this mode. And that's Emerald Rush. The more you play, the more you unlock, and the higher difficulties that you're allowed to access. The game does get really hard. I've been stuck on level 5 for the last day and I'm struggling. You also get to keep all of this chip currency that you earn while playing. And what you will mostly want to spend those on in the DLC is by going to the little parrot guy, give him 100 and he'll go find a random statue. And there are dozens of these really cool statues that he'll find and he'll place around the world. These are just a collectible thing. It's pretty cool to fill the island up. It kind of gives the island even more of a set piece vibe when you realize that like the pirate ship or this cave or even the beachfront are all just pretty areas to put a ton of statues. You can also move the statues around and surf on them, and it looks ridiculous. So I made it pretty clear that I feel like the DLC is worth it. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm about 7 hours in and I'm definitely not done. So I feel like I'm just getting even more value out of this game. As I said, there's a lot of things happening with Nintendo that aren't okay. But when it comes to Donkey Kong Bonanza and the team that made it, the one thing they have proved with the base game and this DLC, that they're willing to stuff a game full of content for the price. They'll at least make it worth it. I do feel like you have to love a roguelike, or at least enjoy this mode to feel like the $20 is worth it. Otherwise, you really are just getting a DK Island to mosey on around, and without playing the mode to get all the chips, you can't really even get all the statues. Yeah, that'd be a little boring. But if you haven't played a roguelike, or even if you have, give Emerald Rush a chance, and I think you'll find it pretty addicting. They did a really great job at taking all of the elements that made Bonanza great, from smashing all of the gold to getting all the collectibles, and twisting it all on its head and making you look at the bananas and the fossils in a very different way. It takes the core gameplay and just shakes it up and twists it on its head and gives you something that's endlessly replayable. Probably not as endlessly replayable as a fully fleshed out, built from the ground up to be a roguelike game like Hades, but fleshed out enough to be hours of fun and to be worth 20 bucks. And I mean, look at this game. It's gorgeous. I've seen a lot of people say that, oh, well, Silk Song's $20 and that was made by 3 people. But like, yeah, it was made by 3 people. And it's fantastic, but this game was made by probably hundreds of people, and I don't think that this kind of stuff is built overnight. I mean, people do have to get paid here, and you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. But hey, maybe I'm bananas. I'm the banana.